Sometimes there's no one else who loves me like you used to. Sometimes we're not ourselves. There's no one I can turn to. And I know all the feelings that we shared are in the past. And I know your relationships are never meant to last. And I'll take some time, but I'll be alright. We're moving on. We're moving on. I know times are tough, but I've had enough. We're moving on. We're moving on. We're moving on. Sometimes there's no one else who loves me like you used to. Sometimes we're not ourselves. There's no one I can turn to. And I'll take some time, but I'll be alright. We're moving on. We're moving on. I know times are tough, but I've had enough. We're moving on. We're moving on. We're moving on.
Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. You guys have showed up early today. Welcome to Unfiltered with BCWRIGHT. And today is our episode of He Said, She Said. So you all know one of the persons who will be joining me today is none other than my husband, attorney Derek Wright, but we also have a special guest. But before I announce our special guest and our topic, I got to get a couple of housekeeping things out of the way. Let me bring Derek on real quick. Hey, Derek Wright.
Hey, good morning.
That's the other half of He Said, She Said. You can see that he is in his office and he has his lawyer hat on today. So I'm interested in seeing what his part of this conversation is going to look like. But before we get started, I have a couple of announcements. One, thank you all for coming. Continue to like and share. Welcome, Joyce. I see you, Tyson and Princess and Charlie and Stephanie and Melissa. You guys, welcome. Thank you for always being here and tuning in. Hey, Trina. Hey, Tish. Hey, Dee. I see you guys. Listen. There's going to be a new showtime starting next week. That is announcement number one. Was that a surprise to you, Derek?
It was.
Okay. He's like, okay. So the new showtime is going to be 9:11 a.m. every Wednesday. And there's about 25 of you who will get that. But the new showtime is going to be 9:11 a.m. every Wednesday, because it is a 911 that we get on and get this information. So come over here and we're going to get the 911 instead of the 411. So I'll see you guys at a 9/11 each Wednesday. But the second thing I want to do before we get started is make sure that you all are supporting our friend of the show, Dr. Katrina Flucas. We call her Dr. K. I need you all to join the movement. She has a YouTube channel that has hundreds of inspirational videos. She is live every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Please just go on to YouTube and type @Freedom by Design Movement. and like her page, subscribe to it. She has like 114 videos. If whatever issue you're dealing with, I promise you, she has already covered it on her show. Please make sure that you're subscribing and tuning in to her show. That being said, we're going to jump into today's topic, and we're going to bring on our special guest because we're trying to keep the show at 30 minutes, but y'all know how we do. We just kind of get into it, but we're going to try and keep it 30 minutes because I know Derek has a court appearance and our special guest has a business to run. So listen to this. Y'all saw the topic, right, Derek? Labor shortage plus what? What was it? Labor shortage plus jobs surplus, right? That math doesn't add up. And I was looking at an article this morning where they were talking about, Derek, a record number of jobs that were lost during the pandemic, right? And how the labor market has rebounded, yet right now we have a 5.4% unemployment rate, but there are 1 million more job openings than the number of people who are unemployed. And it's at every level. Like literally, it's not just the high skilled jobs, it's the middle and the lower skilled jobs. So the question becomes, are we in a new employment paradigm? What is happening? Did people figure out they could live on less money? Do people not want to work for low wages anymore? Are more demands being made on employers? How is it affecting us as consumers? You know what I'm saying? Are people demanding that their schedule be different, that they can work remotely? Have we created a welfare mindset because of all the pandemic assistance? There's so many questions around why this labor shortage doesn't add up with this work surplus. And to join us is none other than a business owner that we all know and love, none other than our favorite realtor, but also our favorite owner of a smoothie shop. And I'll let him tell you all about that out there in McDonough. Please help us welcome none other than special guest Frank Flucas. Frank, are you with us?
I am with you. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. How are you guys this morning?
We're excellent. Tell us where you're calling in from.
I'm calling in from Planet Smoothie in McDonough, Georgia, 1609 Highway 20, McDonough, Georgia, right across the street from Rooms to Go. Very visible to the street. A lot of good stuff for your stomach this morning.
Yes, my first experience at a Planet Smoothie was actually at your store, and you personally made me a smoothie, and I've been a fan ever since.
Vern, I actually made you a cake in a cup.
You did. Don't tell everybody that. He really did. I was like, okay, this is not a smoothie. There's nothing nutritious about this. But anyway, we weren't supposed to tell everybody that. So I said a lot in the opening paragraph. And I want to start with you, Frank, as a business owner. Are you experiencing any issues with labor in this season that you did not have pre-pandemic?
I am. It's been a struggle. It's been a real struggle. Of course, COVID came in. That was part of it. And with COVID came unemployment. And with unemployment, it came people not wanting to come to work because they felt like the unemployment was more than what they were making on their jobs. So that's kind of created a void that needs to be filled.
Well, now that the unemployment has run out, people still aren't coming back to work. So what's happening?
I mean, they aren't coming back to work. I guess that they're still, I can't really say exactly what's happening. I just know that they're not coming back to work. And for me as a small business, I normally don't get the high-end pay scale folks. I kind of get the teenagers and, the people who are just trying to find their way and they just need a job for right now. And, I'm struggling in that area as well, just trying to get the teenagers and the people who just need a job. I mean, that's really where I'm struggling in terms of keeping people employed. So
here comes the question. So people are demanding more pay now. That's what I've been reading. They're demanding more pay. And even the incentive to try and get people to pay $15 an hour. How would that affect your business if you were forced to do that?
I mean, it will minimize how many people I can actually hire, which means it will actually cause an overload and strain and stress on management here in the store, because at $15 an hour, that means I can only maybe hire one or maybe two people at the most, because we don't, in terms of a small business and profit that we don't make that kind of profit that we can support 7-8 people in here paying them $15 an hour. It just wouldn't work for me. So, it would actually cause a little bit more strain on management. And we would actually have to put in more hours. And I don't know that we could actually do that, if we had to.
Yeah, that's good. What you just said about the $15 an hour. Let me ask you this, Derek. As a teen, do you think that, I mean, you're talking about hiring teenagers and people who are in school. Do you think teenagers, Derek, should be making $15 an hour?
You know, it really depends on what job are they actually performing. I mean, does the job justify that kind of wage? If the job is something very simplistic, that is a truly a minimum wage type of job, then I would say no. If it's something in which you're developing a skill or have a skill to be able to perform that job, then 15 an hour makes sense. But honestly, I've always felt that in hiring for my firm that I have to start at least $10 an hour or more to start getting a certain quality of employee. But once I start that threshold, I'm not going to just throw money at it, because whether I pay them 15 or 20 or $25 an hour, the question is, what do they bring to the table? And that's probably when you're ready for it, my perfect storm as to why I think part of the reason we're here is that there's been a less emphasis on people having certain skill sets that add value to the employer.
What skill set do you need to work at your Planet Smoothie, Frank?
Not much. I mean,
I mean, you got. I mean, I don't want to minimize it, but you got to learn how to put some stuff in a blender, right?
I mean, when we first bought into this franchise, the consultant told me, and he was absolutely right. He said this franchise is set up to the point where once it gets running smoothly, a 15-year-old can run it. And with him saying that, it took me a while to understand what he's saying, but I mean, there's a number of recipes, and it's really just a customer service environment. I mean, you remember some recipes, and after repetitive, after repeating it over and over again, I mean, it actually comes normal to you. So it's not a high stress, high labor, high intense type job. It's not a job where you actually were working at Derek's firm. You may have to do a lot of thinking. That's not what it is. I mean, to be honest with you, I mean, it's a very minimal amount of thinking. It's just the willingness and the want to actually learn the stuff that you need to learn in order to make the business run. So it's not one of those things where, we need, I'm not going to say high skill level. I'm not going to say that, but we don't need people that, have a doctorate degree, to come in here and actually run this place. You can have a high school degree and run this place. And that's the way it's been set up.
I see Derek's hand is raised.
And I agree with you, Frank, but I think going back to the fundamentals, have a doctorate in come to work on time, come to work consistently, come to work with loyalty that says, hey, I'm not just looking at the clock because I want to check. I'm there to actually do a job and to do the job the best I can, learn it the best I can so that it does become second nature and I can excel and work my way up. The mentality of shortcutting, I think, is that perfect storm that was already pre-COVID. Everyone just wants to get a quick check and just sort of show up and, I'm tired today, so I'll get something else. In fact, I remember some young kids almost making fun of the 9-to-5 kind of individual. There's no loyalty to the employer. Now, granted, employers are no longer loyal to employees. So a lot of the things that we grew up on thinking, hey, when I get that job, you got the best of me, we don't get no more. So my older person that may come work for me, I know is going to be there and have all the fundamentals, but maybe not the skill set of the digital technology and the internet and emails and stuff of that nature. But the young person, hey, I don't know if they're going to show up or not, or give me that, they're going to have COVID 5 times in 4 weeks.
That part. So let's talk about the mindset part. I'm so glad you brought that up. And Katrina said, a last and entitled spirit is in the atmosphere. Let's talk about that, because there are some people who were getting fired because they were producing fake COVID tests, right? To be able to stay out of work, to be able to get unemployment, to be able to get all these benefits. So let's talk about the mindset shift that has taken place over the past 2 years. People will get a job and quit just like that. It's kind of like, I don't need your job, because across the street, they're offering a $500 signing bonus. Amazon offering a $1,000 signing bonus. This person said, if I come here, they're going to pay me this. And it goes like they're jumping from place to place to place to place. And there's a lack of work ethic. And the question becomes, and I'm going to jump to you on this really quick, because I want Frank to answer as well. Do you feel like some of the benefits that were being given during the pandemic helped to create this mindset? Or did it just amplify something that was already in the atmosphere? Don't everybody jump in at once.
Oh, wait. I'm gonna go. I thought you were talking to Derek, but listen.
I was, but he wasn't. But you can take it.
You know, after Derek got finished talking, my palms were getting greasy, and I'm rubbing my pants leg, and the blue off my pants is coming on my hands because Derek was hitting the nail on the head, and I'm sitting up here saying, you know what? Everything he said was exactly right. But I want to take y'all back to something. My dad was always an encouraging factor in my life. Always. And one thing that I saw was when I was growing up, my dad was never afraid to work. And when he went on the job, he stayed on the job. You know, he didn't go quitting because he had a family to take care of. You understand? And when I started looking for role models, he's my role model. And basically what I see today is a descent of kids and some adults that want to work. They just don't want to. And I really think it goes back to their upbringing. When I was brought up, and like I said, I don't go all the way back to my dad's journey, but when I was brought up, he instilled in me that if I wanted to get anywhere in life, I needed to work. And, you know, I brought that forward. But for some reason, this new generation of kids, people, or whatever it is, I mean, I don't know if their parents brought them up the same way. Derek just reiterated back when he was young, he worked. I worked. Katrina worked. We started working at McDonald's. We started working at, Winn-Dixie. I mean, we started working at places, and we were making $4 an hour. You know, we were happy to make that $4 an hour, but we got up and we went to work every day. We didn't make complaints on why we couldn't go to work. If we needed to have a day off, we didn't just not call in and just not show up. I mean, we did the right things, and it was at the right time, that we wanted our jobs, and we tried to succeed in those jobs, even if it was paying $4 an hour. But now, the turnover here is so high right now. These kids, they're born with a silver spoon in their mouth, and they're not forced to do anything. And what happens is, with them not being forced to do anything, it transitions over later on in life. So now, if you got a kid and you don't require anything out of them, what do you expect from them later on in life? They're going to be that kid eventually at some point in time that they're going to be back home with mom and dad because they can't go out in the real world and make it. When I was young, my dad instilled in me a long time ago, if you're going to make it in this world and you need to take the bumps and bruises right now, you need to go out and get it. And they don't have that right now. And that's the problem I have with people coming in this store working. The kids that I get out of every 10 kids, I may get one kid out of every 10 that's just phenomenal. They don't call in. I don't hear the bickering and complaining. I mean, it's just it's a lot. And I mean, I really think that comes from upbringing. How did you bring your kids up? How'd you bring them up? I mean, did you give them chores? Were they supposed to clean up their room? Were they supposed to take out the garbage? I mean, were they supposed to, be in at a certain time? Did they follow the rules of the house? Because if they ain't follow the rules of the house, they ain't gonna follow the rules of work for anybody else.
That's it.
That's the issue I have.
Preach. Now you're getting into the root of really the next topic, which is what responsibility do we as society play in this, and what do we do to cause the shift? Because I remember I started working, and I don't know if my mom's on today or not. I'm gonna need to see Miss Tony or Mr. Tony pop up, but I worked at where did I work? 14 years old. My first job was at Domino's Pizza. And you went to work because you went to work because you said you were going to be there. And we're literally, we say word is bond, right? Your word is your bond, and you gave your word and you did it. But then we got older and started looking around at the Joneses, right? And decided we had to give our kids everything, and we wanted to make their life easier because in our mind, our life was hard, but our life wasn't hard. Our life created us. Our life made us, and our life made it so that we could get through different things and different hardships. So the question becomes, us on here on Unfiltered, us out there in the world, what role did we play in creating the perfect storm? What role did we play, and how do we stop it? Because if every single generation, it seems like since ours, has had it easier and easier and easier, the more successful we've become, the more entitled they've become. So how do you shift things back in perspective and create that balance, right? How do you do that? Some of our kids just intuitively have that drive, right? But not all of them do. And not all of them do because they're like, oh, baby, you don't have to work as hard as I did. Lie. Yes, you do. Derek, I see you itching.
Well, no, I was just thinking they need to start getting a steady diet of ramen noodles. They need to come home and see that they don't have a key to the door and they just don't come and go as they please, going in the fridge, getting a leftover steak. I mean, and point is consequences, because part of that whole mentality is not understanding that the decisions you make, when you make a shortcut decision, there is something that's going to come from that decision, a consequence, either a positive or a negative consequence. And consequences are what shape behavior. Most humans are going to take the easiest path, easiest route. That's how we always talk about what separates the champions from the rest of the field, that they push even harder. They do those things consistently every day to lift themselves up and have all those positive consequences. They don't smoke the weed or do the drugs or do all the things that are against developing their skill and their talent to be successful. The point is consequences. With these kids, don't feel like there's a consequence. Maybe they finished high school, maybe they didn't. When I see a lot of, unfortunately, my clients, a lot of them, I when I get bond information, I'm asking the question, one, I got someone at my office door. Said, one, where'd you go to high school? Two, did you finish? When I say 9 out of 10 times, they did not finish. Maybe 10th grade, maybe 11th grade. Well, what I often tell people is when you have a college degree, what matters most to me is that you finished. Not where you went, not what you studied, but that you show me that you finished a 4-year curriculum, that you aren't, so immersed in this shortcut mentality. But the other thing I'm also going to get when I'm getting bond information, trying to get someone out of jail, okay, what address do you use? My mama's. Not their own. I mean, literally 8 out of 10 times it's their mama. Okay, as parents, we have to understand there is a fine line between support and enabling.
That's right.
And I think that's where we sometimes have to take responsibility. That maybe we enabled our kids because we had it better and we wanted more for them, but we actually softened them and we helped enable that mindset of shortcutting, thinking, oh, I'm just going to get the $1 million business. It's just going to happen. Poof. I don't have to put in my 5,000 hours or my get my stripes and learn my trade and develop my skill to be that entrepreneur and to be that successful person. So I'll get off my soapbox, but I'll be the first one to say, hey, I try to always think, am I enabling or supporting when I'm trying to help whether my own kids or young adults in the advice I give them.
Yep, and that is good, because at the end of the day, I think what Trina said it best, because the Bible says if a man don't work, a man don't eat.
That's right.
So at some point you got to work at whatever it is, right? To be able to accomplish anything. So here's what I'll say, and as he says, she says. So I'm gonna back up on something Derek said. There's something to be said about whether or not you finish something, and it's not about whether you finished college. If you went to high school, you finished high school, you finished it. College is not for everyone. So I'm gonna disagree with you on that one, because if you realize it's not for you, it's not for you. But then the question becomes, once you realized it wasn't for you, what did you do next? What did you do next? Did you decide that you wanted to get a job? Are you pursuing a career? I mean, what is it that you're doing? It's time we start teaching people to finish what they start. Now, we got on this subject about the kids because there are a lot of kids who work at your smoothie shop, right? Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, there's also another part of the conversation that says that some people just realized during this pandemic, when nobody could go to work, that their value was more than $7.50 an hour, that their value was more than $10 an hour because they're making all this money doing nothing, right? And some people just decided that, oh, well, you know, I want to find a remote job because there's all these different remote places I can work. So for an employer like you, Frank, what do you have to do to either attract people, right, to the job? What are you going to have to do differently? Or are you going to have to start automating some of the processes? I went to Sam's Club. You can check out yourself. You can get on the screen and pay yourself. Do you remember we went at McDonald's and you go to the screen and you put your own order in? So then they have less people who are working, right, behind the counter. But y'all need to look 20 years from now and see what that looks like, because then people who want a job won't be able to get one because artificial intelligence will have taken over.
Absolutely. Well, I don't know if automated is the way for us because we're too hands-on. But in terms of hiring folks and what do I have to do, I think it's two parts to that. The first part is I kind of need to do a little bit more marketing and trying to get the people in here. That's the first thing. And, you know, marketing goes a long way with anything, whether you're trying to sell a product or whether you're trying to hire somebody. So I need to actually do that. I need to do that on a more consistent basis. But the second part that goes back to what Derek said is I want to hire the right people. So even with hiring those folks, are they going to be a good fit for the job? You know, and there needs to be more questions asked. And I need to start getting better answers before I actually hire somebody. Because one of the main questions that we ask now is how do you handle different managers within our organization? Because here we have 3 different types of managers and we got 3 different personalities. Now, in terms of actually how the business ran, it's ran the same, but in terms of personalities, we're different. And that's one of the main questions I always ask, and I always get the same answer. Oh, I can do it. I can handle it. And then when they get in here and they see, and I'm telling them this up front, when they get in here and they see that it's different, then all of a sudden everything becomes an issue. So really I have to start, me personally, I need to start asking better questions on the interview. When I market the folks, I need to ask better questions. But at the same time, I need to find people that's going to be more honest. That's what I need to find. People that are going to be a lot more honest. And, you know, I just kind of want to go back to something Derek said because I thought it was hilarious. When Derek said, then we need to start doing the ramen noodles and TV dinners. Oh, I love it. That's exactly what needs to start happening, because when they can't eat, that forces them to work, don't they?
Yes, it does.
You got to make them reach for something, because if you don't make them reach for something, then they'll never have anything. They'll keep reaching their pockets. It's going to be empty, right? So you got to make them keep reaching. And I totally agree with Derek. I totally agree on that. But I've just got to do a better job of asking questions and do a better job of recruiting the people in here. And I've got to do a better job of marketing to get the people here.
Amen. Okay, so guys, I know that in 3 minutes you have to open your store. So I'm going to say that was your closing thought. And I appreciate you coming on, and I appreciate you having taken a part in this conversation. And here's the question: are you hiring right now?
Right now. As a matter of fact,
tell the people what you're looking for.
I'm looking for somebody who's going to come to work, somebody who's going to be honest, somebody who's not going to every other week call in, and somebody who's not trying to create their own schedule. That's not what this is. The schedule is the schedule. When I grew up, they made the schedule. We followed the schedule, and that's what it is. I need somebody who's going to follow the schedule. Just be honest and come to work every day, and be willing to learn. Be willing to learn, because I mean, if you're not willing to learn, then what are you going to do for the rest of your life? You're going to walk around as a dud? Can't do that, can you?
Nope. And tell everybody where you're located again.
1609 Highway 20, McDonough, Georgia, directly across the street from Rooms to Go. If you want to buy some furniture, you can walk across the street. You know, when you get here, just make sure you do it on your lunch break.
Well, thank you so much for the conversation. There you have it with our business owner, entrepreneur, and our favorite realtor, Mr. Frank Flucas. Thank you so much. Go ahead and get that store open.
Thank you, guys.
And Derek, I'm going to let you have some closing thoughts before I do our He Said, She Said giveaway. This was an amazing conversation. And I will say this, Derek. One of the things that was interesting was Trina was coming over I think it was last week. And she stopped to get us food at Chipotle. And she said, I can't bring us Chipotle today. And I said, why? And she said, because the manager is the only one in the store, and they said nobody showed up for work today. So she had to prep all the food, and she couldn't open the store because she couldn't do everything by herself. So it was going to take her a minute to get the store open. And I remember Christian and I after church went to, what do you call that place? Charlie's. There were 4 tables in Charlie's that were full. And I was like, oh, it's empty. We can go there and eat. And the lady said, okay, it's about an hour and a half wait. And I looked around, I said, y'all got 4 people in here. And they said, yes, but we only have 1 server. We're short staffed. So the labor shortage is real. So we've started to see these screens pop up at McDonald's that you go in and place your own order. Then all they gotta do is prepare the food and give it to you. You don't have to pay more cashiers. We have the apps where they're letting you pay for yourself at Sam Clubs. They have automated stores now, people, where like they're going to have cashierless stores. So think about this and the consequences of people not wanting to work or having the not work mindset. So then when you have that young child that you have who turns into a teenager and you want them to be able to get a job like at a McDonald's or at a Planet Smoothie or something like that, is it going to be available if we don't shift the mindset about what it means to work? So that being said, give us your closing thoughts so I can do a giveaway.
We often talk about success builds on itself. It's small victories, consistency. When you consistently allow a child or a young adult to shortcut everything, I mean, that's becomes their pattern. And unfortunately, if I was to do an analysis on a lot of my clients that end up in the criminal system, it's because they start to take that shortcut mentality all the way to the extreme of, well, let me get over. And then from get over, let me just take, or let me just sell or do something I know I ain't supposed to do. But again, it's a way of quick money. And that same mentality, unfortunately, is how quick they spend the money. So the money's quick coming in, quick coming out, which means there's no longevity. There's no true wealth, that's happening, which means they're not willing to spend the time to develop themselves, to learn Microsoft, to learn the digital technologies and formats, to learn those skills that going forward, folks, as we evolve post-COVID, there's going to be the AI. There's going to be more and more remote type of skill sets that we need. And we're getting even farther. That gap is getting even bigger because we just want to do things quick. Well, guess what? I didn't learn algebra quick. You got to put in the time. You're not going to learn or become Microsoft certified quick. You got to put in the time. So you got to get rid of that mentality of shortcut and start to invest in yourself and think of it this way. What skill sets have I developed in myself that make that employer want to hire me and give me top wage? And then what skill sets have I developed where I can do my own thing and make my own wage? Because if I'm going to compete against all these businesses that are going more and more to technology, then I better be able to keep up. In fact, I need to outpace them. So I need to be even better than them. But you're not going to do that. I end on this. You heard me say 5,000 hours. I want to say, isn't 5,000 hours what becoming an expert in almost anything on average takes about 5,000 hours? Like you said, whether it's a college thing, whether it's a mechanic thing, whether it's transmissions, it doesn't matter. You got to put in the time. And that's how you become the best and get rid of that shortcut mentality. But shortcut mentalities can lead you right through my door where your mama's paying me money to get you out of jail because you decided, oh, I'm just going to get over. And that's no way to live life. That there's no longevity and sustenance in that. So I'm done with my speech. I know I'm too long, Bern, but you married me. You know how I am.
Well, apparently we're going to have to at some point do an episode about how to keep your child out of jail, because today we're talking about the labor shortage and we're talking about artificial intelligence and the fact that the jobs won't be there if we do not change the mindset about the importance of working. And I will say this to my husband's point, that for like a long time, there's an issue, and we'll be transparent, even in our own home with our son and whether or not he wanted to work, because he was always able to come eat here and do things like that. And Derek would always complain about it. But we're at a point where I'm proud to say that he has 2 jobs now, 2 full-time jobs, working 12 hours a day, 7 days a week. But it took him being out to get him there. It took him getting to a point where he needed to stand on his own 2 feet and having to go through some stuff to do that. So whoever you are, you might be a parent out there and you're sitting there looking at your child and you're like, oh, they don't want to work. They don't want to do anything. Don't give up on them. Don't stop praying for them. Don't stop encouraging them. Don't stop sitting down talking to them, because Derek talked to our son all the time about, and Derek can attest to this. He will sit down and talk to our son all the time about the fact that you have to work. What is your plan? What are you going to do next? You should be doing this. You should be doing that. And it would seem like they're not listening. But then all of a sudden, you'll start to see things turn around. But it starts with the conversation that comes from loving parents. And I thank God for my husband and the way that he pours into our children and encourages them the way that he does. But it also starts with understanding that mindset shift does have to occur, but it starts at home. And if we don't do something about it now to let these kids know, and even ourselves to a certain extent know, that we've got to work, we have got to impact society, we have got to contribute, then when computers are doing all the jobs, we won't be able to say nothing. We won't be able to complain about it because we saw it coming and did nothing. So that being said, thank you, Derek, so much for joining us on He Said, She Said. I know that you have a client ringing your doorbell, so you go do that. And I know y'all are waiting on some money. So that being said, guys, let's go ahead and do our giveaway today. So thank you guys so much for showing up. I hope you guys enjoyed this conversation on the labor shortage plus job surplus. The math don't add up. The math isn't adding up. And what is it that we do about it? So you guys saw that they're hiring at Planet Smoothie. If you have someone who's looking for a job in McDonough, tell them to ask for Frank Flucas, right? They're there, they're hiring. So it's time to do our giveaway. Before we do our giveaway, I want to make sure that I remind everyone, as soon as we get off, don't forget about it. As soon as we get off, please go to Add Freedom by Design Movement on YouTube and subscribe to Dr. K's show. She is on every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Her show is about 15, 20 minutes. She is fire. So make sure you are subscribing to her YouTube channel. Okay. So thank you guys for joining us today. You know how we do. Our mission here is not only for people to stay woke, but also that you be blessed. So we have a call to give. We are going to be giving away money today, like we do every single week. So here's how we do it. In the chat, all you need to do is put 1 through 100, the number 1 through 100 in the chat. And I'm going to go ahead and start the music, and then we will announce the winner. So let's go.
Sometimes there's no one else who loves me like you used to. Sometimes we're not ourselves. There's no one I can turn to. And I'll take some time, but I'll be alright. We're moving on. We're moving on. I know times are tough, but I've had enough. We're moving on. We're moving on. We're moving on.
I can't believe it. I simply cannot believe it. I can't believe it. I can't believe it. The winner of $100 today on Unfiltered is none other than Tish Mills. At the beginning of the show, I announced that our new show time, instead of 9 o'clock, will be 9:11, 9:11. every single Wednesday. So our winner is Tish Mills. Congratulations. You will be receiving $100 compliments of Unfiltered. Y'all, this is her first time winning. Make sure that you congratulate Miss Tish Mills on her win today. All right, guys. Well, I love you guys. Thank you for tuning in today. And I look forward to seeing you guys next week at our new time, 911. Come get the 911 on Unfiltered. So until next time, you know how we do. Guys, be blessed and absolutely stay woke. See you guys next time.
It's bigger than me. It's bigger than me. It's bigger. It's bigger than me. It's bigger than me. Yeah. It's bigger, yeah. It's bigger than me. It's bigger than me. Yeah, yeah. It's bigger, yeah. It's bigger than me. It's bigger. It's bigger than